Okay, watching a lot of football, and like everybody else is, I guess, except for you guys that are coaching. And the other night they had I forget who it was, team. I don't want to mention the team anyway. They had a guy come in. They lost their first two tackles, and they had a guy come in that basically played guard. I guess he was a journeyman guy. I wish I had his talent, but he had to line up and play tackle. He had no other choice. They had nobody else to go to, and that's the part I don't get uh, about pro football. I was asking a NFL coach one time about this guy and that guy, and he said, "Yeah." He said, You have no idea. This guy's hurt. This guy had just had surgery. This guy's did," and yeah, I don't get it. I'm used to having some depth. But anyway, just looking at the tackle versus a jet, okay, and uh, Khalil Mack, we had to block him one time. He played for the University of Buffalo when I was at Ball State. We I had to coach a kid to block Chris Long. I mean, I've seen some good ones, and believe me, this is not my strong side forte, but I'm going to talk about what I think. Okay, basically, you got three situations. You got a bull rusher. We're talking about a jet now. A guy that lines up in front of you. You shouldn't have. You really shouldn't have any problem with him unless he's so much better than you. But a jet guy, whether it's a jet tackle or a jet end, and I think the jet tackles are a little bit more of a problem. But the jet end, if you look at the jet end, if he's a bull rusher or a straight line rusher, you don't have to go very far to get in front of him. And what we try to do is we try to say, put your hand out to try and touch his outside number. Because if you touch his inside number, he's going to swat you. If you touch his outside number, he's going to swat you too. And to be honest with you, if you watch, there's a video that what the hell's his name? Great O line guy. He's at Cleveland right now, and he was at the Redskins. And little movements with the feet and the hands, and we'll talk about the stance and the movements later. We don't kick slide, we don't jump, we don't do any of that stuff, or never did anyway. The problem with jumping, I think you can get a guy pinned pretty quick if you'll stand there. The problem is you get picked some sort of a blitz and get knocked off somebody you can't see. So we never. I think it's a good technique. I've seen it work. I'd rather jump a guy that's in front of me than a guy that's out here. But anyway, I've seen guys do it, so don't listen to me. But anyway, here, this path right here, there's home, by the way. Okay, you don't have to move very far to get in his way. Okay, you certainly don't have to move very far here to get in his way. Okay, this thing is no big deal. You start to move out to him, and we don't do this. We do this and this. We're kind of like knights on the chessboard. We get depth first, then width. Depth, then width. And sometimes you get a guy that's going to really harpoon you. Some of these guys, they come off the ground. They're condensed. They're coiled. Okay, Joey Boza. I coached at Penn State when Joey Boza played, and believe me, it's no joke. But anyway, I coached tight ends anyway, so it wasn't any of my problem. But like I said, geometry just shows us that we don't have to worry too much about this. The other thing is, a guy in a 3-point stance, his feet are way back here. Now, a guy like Khalil Mack that's in a 2-point stance, okay, or the kid from Penn State for the Cowboys, number 11. My name, I'm old, so the names escape me right now, but they're in 2-point stances. Their feet are on the line of scrimmage, and they're good enough to sink and coil and get the jump. I don't think they lose a step. These guys that are long stances, it's a different story. Okay, you got a lot of room. Your feet and their feet are a long way away, and they ain't going anywhere without their feet. Okay, but these guys in 2-point stances, it's another ball game. Okay, now, like I said, a guy that has a stick or a spike, you should be able to shut him off. You got to switch your hands. You got to go from a long outside hand to a long inside hand and a strong outside hand because he's basically trying to run around you. But you ought to be able to funnel him in. Okay, and I'll show you that later on. But basically, we have a long outside hand and a strong inside hand. Okay, I'm going to put this down for a second. Hang on. If I've got a jet rusher, I want to try and put my hand up. We call it a stop sign. Okay, and then we want to keep this thing ready to protect our chest because we're really exposing our chest right here. Okay, in a way, we're exposing ourselves. But what we want to do is stay as square as we can. And if we put both hands in immediately, we turn. It's just the way it goes. Now, when he comes to us, we turn. We put both hands in. And when he goes across our face, we go from here to here. Okay. And we try to stretch him with this hand and give him a ride with this one. Again, a long arm and a strong arm. Okay. We do this on scoot when we're doing, we have a wide three. And we want to get in front of them and hook them instead of just driving them to the sideline, which is tough. When you try to match a three, when you try and drive a three, well, we're talking about a different thing. Let's not talk about that. Okay, let me go back to this for a second. Now, this guy is trying to get you to go backwards as fast as you can. And all he's going to do is stick his foot in the ground and come under you or spin under you. He wants you moving as fast as possible with big steps. And he wants you flailing your arms, kick sliding, doing all that stuff. And you always look for the inside leg telltale when that knee locks. You got a problem. Okay. My deal, okay, and the guy I was thinking about is Bill Callahan. He has a video from 2019. He's taking little itsy bitsy steps. Okay, so he's accelerating. That's the operative word. He's accelerating, and every time I think I'm coaching little itsy bitsy steps, I watch somebody like him or McNally or somebody like that, and I say, "Gee whiz, I'm not taking small enough steps." But little itsy bitsy steps, little itsy bitsy steps. Okay, and what we want to do is control our acceleration. Big steps, you got feet in the air, you got a problem. Okay, you can't change direction. You can go fast, it might be faster, I don't know. I know that guys come out of the blocks and sprints, they take smaller steps than when they're going full speed 20 yards down the race. So we want to take little steps, little steps. The other thing about these guys, okay, they're DBs right here. When you have a jet rusher that's trying to run the hump, a DB wouldn't have a wide base stance. He would have a little narrow stance, and he tried to keep his feet under him, and he'd try to stay in a coil. And he's going to move his hands and feet very quickly to accelerate and get a junction. And if he can get, once again, if this guy's in 3-point stance, he might be moving faster than a guy in a 2-point stance, but he's further back because his feet are further back. So what we want to do is this first before we junction to him. Okay, it's a geometry problem, and we want to run the hump. And if we can get him thrown, okay, and I don't know if the quarterbacks like it or not, but if we can get him shot putted, and the first time I ever thought about it, I was watching Tony Baselli do it, and then I saw Jonathan Ogden doing it, and basically all they did was shot put. Now, once you throw a guy, don't chase him. Okay, slow down and protect the quarterback. Let him come back to you. Shuffle this way and junction him because he's going to come back to you. If you chase him and run, he's going to stick his foot in the ground, come under you. Okay, you got to stay in an accelerated, coiled position. Okay, you're a DB, and you're a prize fighter, and there's the prize. Okay, you got to protect that thing. All right, but anyway, you want to junction him somewhere along the line, and if you can't, now you take your inside hand and you shot put him. And when you shot put him, you throw him, and then you wait for him to come back to you. Don't give up. Don't give up. I think pass protection, with the way a good scrambling quarterback, he'll keep you alive anyway. I remember watching West Point do pass pro. All they did was one-on-one, and they had a guy over here, and he had to get to him. and it was like a bull in a ring. So all he had to do was stay with him. There was no technique involved. They couldn't have any technique because they were in those wishbone stances. But what it taught was tenacity, and I think tenacity is an important part of this. Okay, but if you're long, if you're exposing your chest, if he gets his hands on your chest, you're going for a ride. Okay, and I shouldn't say that because if you're coiled enough, you can actually have his hands on your chest and you can take your hands off of him and chop him. But that's a bull rush. This thing here, okay, is a different thing altogether. He's gonna Reggie White you. He's gonna get you rolling so fast, and then he's gonna take that inside hand and swat you and throw you. He's gonna throw you. You want to throw him, and you can't go early with that inside hand. You got to keep that inside hand coiled and ready. And when do you do it? Well, you'll get a feel for it. Okay, it'll be based on this drop. I always used to piss and moan about 7-step drop. I wanted 5-step drop because I wanted these guys to have a mental image of where that quarterback was. But little steps. Okay, I forget the great line coach at Brigham Young years ago. Um, they didn't kick slide. They didn't do any of that stuff. Okay, kick slide is a great way to get you moving. But if you stay in the kick slide, you're not accelerating. You're taking big steps. Okay, I'm going to stop this one more time and I'll talk about stance. Okay, hang on. Okay, all right, just think about a DB. Okay, I can't. This is what a DB stance looks like, and this is how he's moving. He's he's taking these little. He might start out with a great big deep step, but then and when he goes to freeze, he takes a T step. Okay, just like our Gator step or our 90 or our brace or whatever. Okay, but he's doing the same thing as a tackle. Now you get a tackle with a big stance like this, trying to backpedal. See, it ain't happening. You can get him. This is okay. He's got all the weight on the inside foot, and that was the original idea with the kick slide. Okay, maintain weight on the inside foot, and that's important because if the weight shifts to the outside foot, you get slung. Okay, you get Reggie weighted. Okay, but we say little steps. Okay, and once again, that I think it was 2019 at the Cool Clinic. I stopped going to Cool Clinics. I just recently saw the Callahan video from I think it was 2019, and his guys were doing this stuff. They were rolling meatballs, little steps. Okay, and they're pretty good. And if you watch Cleveland, they do a pretty good job of grabbing. They're not they're not doing this stuff. Everything's tight. Okay, just like the meatballs and the medicine balls. Okay, tight feet, tight hands, tight everything, coiled. Okay, and once again, you know, to me, long now I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't do this. I would still do this, but I would I would keep that hand up. Okay, but you could convince me with enough film, which I don't watch anybody's film anymore, so I don't know. I just happened to look at that one. You can convince me to do this. I just think that this thing, it's sort of like bait. It's like one of those fish, angler fish. You want him to stand up and start chopping stuff. Once he exposes himself, he gets blasted. Okay? And I got a video of my guys in practice doing, throwing people and what have you, and using circular force. We had the guards throwing people out and the tackles throwing people back. So, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, we didn't give up very many sacks uh, at the places where I was a line coach. We just didn't. I like to think some of it had to do with me. A lot of it had to do with our system and who was coaching the quarterback. But, we didn't give up very many sacks. I think five was one year, and I think nine. I don't know. We were five and sacks 11, and we threw it a lot. It wasn't like we were running a wishbone. So, maybe there's some merit in what I'm saying. I know one thing: if your tackle's got a real wide stance, and if your tackle is kick sliding and he's getting thrown, and I watch this every Sunday. These big 6'7" kick sliding, big steps. They get hit in the chest. They get launched. Okay, even Tryon Smith the other day, Mac got him in the chest and pushed him back. If he had just coiled and chopped those hands off instead of bear hugging, might have been okay. But trust me, he knows a lot more about football than I do. So anyway, but that's what I got for you. Okay, I hope it helps. Something to think about anyway.